Okay guys, so today we're still going to be solving systems of equations, which is where you find the point at which two lines intersect. But instead of having the equations given to us, we're going to have to write our own equations today, and I'm going to show you a different method you can use to find your solution. Okay, so on this prompt it says the cost of 3 boxes of envelopes and 4 boxes of notebook paper is $13.25. 2 boxes of envelopes and 6 boxes of notebook paper is $17. It's telling me to find the cost of each. Okay, so my two variables, I need to figure out the cost of my envelopes and the cost of my notebook paper. Okay, so I'm going to let E stand for cost of envelopes, and I'm going to let N stand for cost of notebook paper. Okay, whenever you have two unknowns, so I don't know this guy, I don't know this guy. When you have two unknowns, you have to write two equations. My first equation is going to come from this sentence right here. So I'm going to buy 3 boxes of envelopes. So to represent 3 boxes of envelopes, I'm going to write 3E. Plus, I'm also buying 4 boxes of notebook paper, so 4N equals, and I know I got all of that for the cost of $13.25. So one equation down. So now my next equation is going to come from this sentence. So it tells me I'm having 2 boxes of envelopes, that's 2E, plus 6 boxes of notebook paper, so that's 6N. And I got all of that for $17. Okay, so now that we have our two equations, I'm going to show you the new method on how to solve. One easy way that I showed you was by graphing in the calculator to find your intersection, but if you're going to graph in your calculator, you have to use x and y as your variables. So if we wanted to use E and N instead, this method is super helpful. So I'm going to go to my calculator. I'm going to add a new document, never save, and I'm going to go to a calculator page. And I'm going to press the buttons Menu, Algebra, which is option 3. Oops. Menu, 3. I did it again. Menu, 3, and then 2. We're going to solve a system. Okay, this pops up. We know we have two equations, but my variables are not x and y, so I'm going to delete that. We are using E and N, so I'm going to put E, comma, N. Okay, after I do that, I have 2 boxes. I'm going to have 1 box for each of the equations I've written. So the first equation I wrote is 3E plus 4N equals 13.25. The second equation I wrote was 2E plus 6N equals 17. All right, so I know that these two lines will cross at this point right here. But there's 2 numbers, so how do I know which one is the cost of the envelopes and which one is the cost of the notebook paper? So you pay attention to this part right here. However you type your variables in is how it's going to spit out your answers. So it's going to be envelopes, comma, the notebook paper. So this is how much the envelopes cost, and this is how much the notebook paper cost. So I'm going to go ahead and write that. So the envelopes cost $1.15. And I'll move back in just a second for you to see it. So I know my envelopes cost $1.15 each, and the notebook paper costs $2.45. So here I wrote it down. I know the cost of the envelopes is $1.15. The cost of the notebook paper is $2.45. Okay, so we know the cost of 12 oranges and 7 apples is $5.36. 8 oranges and 5 apples cost $3.68. Find the cost of each. So I need to find the cost of each orange, I need to find the cost of each apple. So I don't want to use O to represent orange because O looks like a 0, so I'm going to use the second letter, which is an R. And that's going to stand for cost of orange. My other one is the cost of the apple, so I'm going to use an A. Okay, I'm going to use this first sentence right here to write my first equation. I know I'm going to get 12 oranges, so that's 12R, because we said R will stand for oranges, plus 7 apples, so that's 7A, and we're getting all of that for $5.36. Next equation from this sentence. This time we're getting 8 oranges, so that's 8R, plus 5 apples, and we got all that for $3.68. So now that we have our two equations, I'm going to go to my calculator to type in the two equations, so it will solve it for us. So remember, we have to press menu 3, 2. I do not want to use x and y. Instead, we used r, comma, a. My first equation was 12r plus 7a is equal to 5.36. Second equation is 8r plus 5a is equal to 3.68. So I know that this is the point at which those two lines would intersect. So remember, pay attention right here. It tells you how your answer will come out. We know R stands for oranges, A stands for apple. So oranges is first, then apples. So I know my orange will cost 26 cents and the apples will cost 32 cents. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down. The oranges cost 26 cents and apples cost 32 cents. Oranges are 26, apples are 32. All right, a group of 40 children attended a baseball game on a field trip. Each child received either a hot dog or a bag of popcorn. So each child receives one food item. Hot dogs were $2.25, popcorn was $1.75. If the total bill was $83.50, how many hot dogs and bags of popcorns were purchased? Okay, so we need to figure out how many hot dogs and how many bags of popcorn. So those are my two variables, so I'm going to use H, and that's going to stand for the number of hot dogs. And I want to use P for the number of popcorns. Okay, this one is a little bit different because we don't have two total amount of money. Okay, I have one total amount of money, which is right here. So let's go ahead and write the equation for that. So I know we're spending money on hot dogs and we are spending money on popcorn. They do not cost the same though. So let's talk about how much each hot dog cost. Well, I know each hot dog costs $2.25. So that's going to be 2.25 for every hot dog. Plus, we're also spending money on popcorn, but I know I'm spending $1.75 for each bag of popcorn. So that's 1.75p. So the amount I spent on hot dogs plus the amount I spent on popcorn will equal the total amount of money spent, which was at $83.50. Okay, money goes with money, but there's not another total of money on this one, so we have to figure out another total. Well, the other total it tells us is the total number of children who attended. And the reason that's helpful is because I know each child received one food item. So if I have 40 children going, I know I'm buying a total of 40 food items. So I know something's going to be equal to 40. Well, what food items are we buying? I know we are buying hot dogs, so H, the number of hot dogs, plus we are buying popcorns. The number of popcorns will equal a total of 40. All right, so now that I have my two equations, I'm going to go type it into my calculator. I press menu 3, 2. I do not want to use the variables x and y. Instead, on this one, we wanted to use h, comma, p. My first equation is 2.25h plus 1.75p equals 83.50. Then h plus p equals 40. So remember, this tells us how the answer is going to come out. I know h stands for the number of hot dogs, p stands for the number of popcorns. So this is how many hot dogs, this is how many popcorns we bought. So we bought 27 hot dogs and 13 popcorns. So the number of hot dogs was 27, the number of popcorns was 13. Okay, one night a theater sold 548 movie tickets. An adult's ticket cost $6.50 and a child ticket cost $3.50, and all $2,881 was taken in. How many of each kind of ticket were sold? So I know my two variables are going to be talking about the number of each kind of ticket. Well, we sold adult tickets and we sold child tickets. So I'm going to let A stand for the number of adult tickets. And I'm going to let C stand for the number of child tickets. So again, on this one, we do not have two total amounts of money. We only have one total amount of money, which is right here. So let's go ahead and write an equation based off of that total, the total amount of money. Well, we're spending money on adult tickets and children tickets. They do not cost the same. So I know each adult ticket cost $6.50. So it's going to be 6.50 for every adult A, plus we're getting money from each child's ticket, which each child's ticket is $3.50. So I'm going to put 3.50 C. So the amount of money that comes in for every adult plus the amount of money that comes in for every child would equal the total amount of money, which was $2,881. Okay, so we're done with the total amount of money. So now we have to figure out another total. Well, the other total it gave us was the total amount of tickets sold. So I know it's going to be equal to 548. Well, what type of tickets did we sell? We sold adult tickets and we sold child tickets. So we know the number of adult tickets plus the number of child tickets is equal to the total number of tickets sold, which is 548. So now that we have our two equations, we can go ahead and go type it in. We press menu 3, 2. I want my variables to be A, comma, C. My first equation is 6.50 A plus 3.50 C equals 2,881. The next equation is A plus C equals 548. So pay attention here. We know it's adult, comma, child. So this is the number of adult tickets. This is the number of children tickets. So I'm going to write that down. I know the number of adult tickets that were sold was 321, and the number of child tickets sold was 227. So adult, 321, children's tickets, 227. Okay, a collection of dimes and nickels is worth $3.30. If there are 42 coins in all, how many of each kind of coin are there? So I know my variables are talking about each kind of coin. Well, we know we have dimes and we have nickels. So I know it's going to be D, stand for the number of dimes. And N for the number of nickels. All right, now we need to find our totals. One of the totals I see is the total amount of money. Well, I know a dime has a value, right? A money value, and a nickel has a money value. They're not the same. So for every dime, how much money is that? So what is the value of a dime? Well, a dime is worth 10 cents, and the way you write 10 cents is 0.10. So we get 10 cents for every dime, plus how much for every nickel? Well, a nickel is worth 5 cents, and the way you write 5 cents is 0.05. So I get 10 cents for every dime, plus 5 cents for every nickel, equals the total amount that it's worth, which is $3.30. Okay, money goes with money. So we're done with the money total. So we need to find a second total. Well, the second total it gives us is the total number of coins. Well, what type of coins do we have? Well, I know we have dimes and I know we have nickels. So I know the number of dimes we have plus the number of nickels we have is equal to the total number of coins, which is 42. So now that I have my two equations, I'm going to go type those in. Press menu 3, 2. I want to change my variables from x comma y to d comma n. My first equation is 0.10 d plus 0.05 n equals 3.30. My next equation is d plus n equals 42. So pay attention to how we wrote our letters. It's going to be dimes, comma, nickels. So I know we have 24 dimes and 18 nickels. So we had 24 dimes and 18 nickels. Okay, Mary has a collection of nickels and quarters for a total value of $4.90. If she has 42 coins total, how many of each kind are there? So it's asking us how many of each kind of, how many nickels does she have and how many quarters does she have. So I'm going to let N stand for the number of nickels. And I'm going to let Q stand for the number of quarters. So to write my equation, I need to find my two totals. My first total I see is the $4.90, which is the total value. So I know a nickel has a value of 5 cents. So that's 0.05, so 5 cents for every nickel. Plus, I know every quarter has a value of 25 cents. And you write 25 cents by writing 0.25. So 25 cents for every quarter equals the total value, which is $4.90. So money goes with money. We're done with money. So now we have to find our second total. The second total I see is the total number of coins. Well, she has 42 coins, including nickels and quarters. So I know the number of nickels that she has plus the number of quarters that she has is equal to the total number of coins, which is 42 coins. So now that I have my two equations, I'm going to press menu 3, 2, change my variables to N, comma, Q. My first equation is 0.05 N plus 0.25 Q equals 4.90. My next equation is N plus Q equals 42. So pay attention to how we put our variables in. It's going to give me the nickels and then the quarters. So I know the number of nickels I have is 28 and the number of quarters I have is 14. So we have 28 nickels and 14 quarters. Okay, it says your math teacher tells you that the next test is worth 100 points and contains 38 problems. Multiple choice questions are worth 2 points and word problems are worth 5 points. How many of each type of question are there? So I know my variables are talking about the type of questions. Well, I know we have multiple choice questions and we're going to have word problem questions. So I'm going to let M stand for the number of multiple choice. And we also have word problems. I'm going to let W stand for number of word problems. Okay, so we need to find totals in here. So I could write my two equations. The first total I see is the total number of points we can get on this test. So we can get a total of 100 points. But do you get the same number of points for a multiple choice as you do a word problem? No. It tells me here that multiple choice are 2 points each. So I know that I'm going to get 2 points for every multiple choice. Plus, I know I'm going to get 5 points for every word problem. Equals the total number of points. Notice, points go with points. All right, so now we're done with the total number of points. We have to find another total to write our second equation about. The second total I see is the total number of problems that will be on this test. Well, what type of problems are on the test? I know we have multiple choice, and I know we have word problems. So I know the number of multiple choice questions I have plus the number of word problems I have is equal to the total number of problems, which is 38. So now that I have my two equations, I'm going to go type them in, menu 3, 2, change my variables to m, w. My first equation is 2m plus 5w is equal to 100. My second equation is m plus w equals 38. Pay attention here. M is first, so it's the multiple choice, and then the word problems. So I know we have 30 multiple choice, 8 word problems. So 30 multiple choice, 8 word problems. Ms. Miller decides to give a test that's worth 90 points and contains 25 questions. Multiple choice questions are worth 3 points and word problems are worth 4. How many of each type of question are there? So the two types of question we have is multiple choice and word problems. So similar to the last problem. So we're going to let M stand for the number of multiple choice. And W stand for the number of word problems. All right, now we have to find our totals. The first total I see is the total number of points that we can receive on this test. So remember, these different types of questions don't give you the same number of points. I know multiple choice are worth 3 points. So I can get 3 for every multiple choice, plus I can get 4 points for every word problem. Can equal the total number of points, which is 90. So notice, points go with points. All right, so now that we're done with the total number of points, we're done with points altogether. We need to find our second total. Well, the second total is the total number of questions. I know this test is going to have 25 total questions, and the type of questions it has is multiple choice and word problems. So I know the number of multiple choice plus the number of word problems on that test will equal the total number of questions, which is 25. So now that I have my equations, I'm going to go ahead and use menu 3, 2, change my variables to m, w. My first equation is 3m plus 4w is equal to 90. The next equation was m plus w equals 25. I pay attention to how I type my variables in. It's multiple choice and then word problems. So there's 10 multiple choice and 15 word problems. So 15 multiple choice, 10 word problems. All right, later guys.